Hello everyone, and welcome back to Aislynn's world. Kai Shin's with me today. He's like, I don't like to be on camera. Okay, so I've been doing this thing every week. I'm calling it Aislynn's world. I'm pulling little nuggets of things that I'm really working on and then trying to communicate with you in a live public fashion about these things. And this one I've been broody on. I've been nesting on this one for a few days, and really it was interesting because I had just recently ordered new business cards, and on my new business cards, my little saying in the back brings in this concept of alchemizing pain, and it got me thinking about that a lot, and then talking to Joe about it a lot. The concept really comes from the alchemizing pain concept really comes from my empathic nature, and I've been thinking about this a lot, and it's been coming up in all my realms, even to the point when I pulled it back up again last night, or I pulled my phone out and looked at YouTube last night. I noticed that Kyle Cease, who is someone that I follow, who does a lot of talking about meditation and then working through the pain body, trauma, those kinds of things. And he actually had the title of his little talk, he had used the word alchemizing the pain. And I thought, oh my God, how fascinating is that? And I thought, okay, well, maybe I had already seen it, but then I looked back at the timestamp of it, and the timestamp, actually, I had already ordered like business cards with alchemized pain in print on them before I had even seen that. And so I thought, oh my gosh, this is a collective conversation that is coming out now. This is something we are consciously creating in conversation, and it's because there's so much conversation about trauma, pain, PTSD triggers being activated, empathy, being sensitive. And one of the things that I have learned in the very recent year, like I'd been learning it, I'd been going through all of these phases of life and learning from the experiences, but I had not really fully accepted the concept that being empathic in nature is really my superpower. And so I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and then I heard someone talking about it again the other day, and this concept that when you're empathic in nature, you, of course, there's all these words you can use. They're sensitive, and I could go through all of the diagnoses of mental health by therapists, by psychologists, by psychiatrists that I've been given over the years that ultimately says I'm an empath. But the thing about it is that I've learned that in being an empath, you have basically two different options on how to use your empathic nature. And in the midst of that, in this time that we're living in, where we're learning to coexist in duality, we now are beginning to understand that we have to recognize the pain or the sensitivities that are coming as an empath. But then we have to also recognize that they are a superpower. So what happens is that we either begin to act as a victim, and we go deeper in our cave of protection that we've created around ourselves, or we recognize that we have a superpower to alchemize pain, which ultimately means turning pain into something that we actually want, turning adversity, challenge, pain, trauma, drama, oversensitivities of the things that we feel from people, and actually creating the things that we desire from that, and offering compassion, and offering compassionate action, and being compassionate. And the way that we can do that is because we begin to take the pain that we've felt in our lifetimes and begin to understand it in a way that we can use it to benefit us, right? So all of my life, I was either, it's probably highly likely because most of my family has been one way or the other diagnosed with ADHD, or attention deficit disorder, in that we have a hard time focusing on things, which comes a lot with one of the big characteristics is impulsivity, but also one of the other big characteristics of it is focus. Well, for me, it manifested itself more in the idea that I either just get ramped up, louder, or I have to go hide. And so there was, from a young age, a recognition of an imbalance of energy with me. Okay, so in earlier stages of life, well, I additionally, and what happens a lot of times is that you don't know necessarily if you're an empath maybe from birth. And here's the thing, I want to be very, very clear about this. When it comes to being something like, or to labeling yourself something like an empath, that doesn't mean label yourself so that you can then pull yourself out of the conversation or put yourself in a higher place than other people. Because I am no more special. I am no more special than you are. I just have recognized some things. I've gone in a direction down the spectrum in a way to just have a little bit better understanding of that. So whether I was born empathic or when at age 13 I had a major traumatic accident with a lawnmower, or there was some, trauma, there was quite a bit of traumatic, sensitive, alerting pain body situations that happened in my lifetime. Got all kinds of stories of that then led me down the path to begin to look into the mental health side of things. And of course, being this sensitive personality, this kind of back and forth, boom bust kind of sensitive personality, you would see, okay, well, in one position, I'm either super crazy loud, turning anger into passion, communicate, over communicate, or I'm hiding. So there's an imbalance there of whether or not I'm taking it in and I'm letting myself be sucked dry of my energies, or whether or not I'm hiding from the pain that the sensitivities cause. And I've got a story of the first time that I really began to understand that I had these sensitivities, and they were something that I could begin to actually become aware of, that I recognized what was happening. I recognized that there was something occurring with me. I was an adult mother, 2 children. I had one, they were both walking age, but little. So I'm holding both of their hands. We're in a big, loud, crazy mall, Disney type store with all the noise. It's super crazy, busy mall on a crazy busy weekend. And I literally screamed, drug my children out the door of the store, out into the center where I could go out the door and out to outside, like outside, and take a deep breath. With my children, dragging my children behind me, one hand in the other, and my husband at the time, ex-husband now, standing behind me going, what the just happened? I don't understand. And that was my very first recognition of this, what they often later would call like anxiety, PTSD, sensory overload, sensory anxiety, manic depressive, with some of that kind of boom bust, I've got to go. So one of the things that I learned over the years, and I've done a TED Talk about this in the past, so I won't go too deep into it, but I learned my connection with nature, and that when I went to the garden to work outside, I had a stronger ability to calm that pain and turn it into something. So this is now beginning stages of learning to alchemize the pain. And I have a lot of stories in the background about wealth and money and just the things that have happened in my life, the decisions that were made, why I made decisions to have my children the way I had them, why I made decisions to get a divorce, why all of the things that have happened has been because of my this ability to take the pain body, the sensation that I was feeling, recognize there's something going on, there's something that's needing to occur, shift, change. There's something inside me that's becoming disease. It's making me sick, it's making me hurt, because I am in a situation that has become toxic for me, and I need to make a shift. Whether it's my health, my wellness, whatever it is. And that's where I start to get into that concept of, oh, now we have this ability to shift, and we have some ability to alchemize the pain. So as I began to become aware with having a situation like that where I recognized that I was having what I would then later on call sensory overload. Then I got into another brain injury accident in 2013, which sent me back to the therapist dealing with PTSD. But at the same time, I had already created this concept that the garden was something that was important. And during that time, I did, yes, begin to label some of my anxieties, because the first steps in labeling them allowed me to believe that there was no shame. I wasn't broken. There was some things going on. Some of them were, I was living in somewhat of the victim state. I certainly was living in that victim state. I hadn't owned the fact that it was a superpower, that I had this ability to like turn the pain that I'd created in this lifetime into something bigger, brighter, greater, whatever. But I also hadn't learned, with my open-hearted personality and my desire to give a lot of energy, and because I'm a what they call clairsentient, which means when I walk into an empath, when I walk into a room, I can actually change the energy of the room, or I can be sucked dry from the energy of the room. I had to begin to learn places where I could nourish myself, fill myself back up again, take care of myself, and I had to get into a situation where it wasn't a boom bust situation anymore. It was dual. I could be both calm, connected with nature, and expressing passion, expressing seeds of ideas, creating new things based on the challenges that I might be going through. And with each challenge, I began to stop seeing it as this victim state. I'm in a victim state as this pain body that I'm living in, and this trauma, and I'm continuing to keep drawing to it. I'm looking at it. I'm recognizing it's just one part of the story, or one part of the path, or one part of the journey. And then I'm looking at what I can learn from it. And with my learning, the way I am, the researcher, investigator personality that I am, the learning for me comes from the hands in the dirt concept. So I'm going to have to go through these experiences, these challenges, these adversities, disease, the broken, concepts, the, challenges inside my body and how I feel these things, and turn them into something that becomes what are my greatest desires. And we're all going through this massively right now. We're all going through this in a way because we've learned duality. We've learned that we have the ability to have both heaven on earth, but in the meantime, we're dealing with a lot of pain bodies. We're dealing with a lot of trauma. And so the idea that we have folks that have been like myself, that have led a path of beginning to understand, one, how I'm willing to go through this pain, or I have gone through a lot of pain, and I'm willing to experience these things so that I can have an experience with them, so that I can begin to start alchemizing that pain, turning it into something that creates the abundance and the desires and the beauty and the love, like a garden around me, where I've learned that as an empath, as a compassionate, open-hearted soul, that it's gonna, when I go out into public spaces, I'm gonna be sharing my energy and absorbing energy. I've learned that Mother Nature, the garden, Gaia, has the ability to nourish me at the highest level that I've ever been nourished before. So not only can it give me the food that I desire, but it can give me the fresh air that I could desire. It can show me things. It can let me get my hands in the dirt. It feeds me. It nourishes me. And it puts me into a place where now I begin alchemizing everything around me and turning it all into my greatest desires in the garden. I can see it happen. Now I have evidence. And now I've begun to understand that as I look deeper at that trauma and that pain, that there's deeper pain and trauma and things that I can go after, or that it might come up in my lifetime, because I'm just a human, just living this life on this earth with all the matter and the things that we've created to like bump into and be affected by, activated by, triggered by. and then I'm just here a part of it, feeling it, sensing it, recognizing it, and then taking the hands of other people that have been through trauma and are recovering and are trying to move through some of these pain body situations, which is really all of us. We're all in this together. Here we are, all in this, creating this path forward to what I want to call, or not just me, but many people are calling a new earth, where we can have both heaven and earth in the same space. But it requires some of us that have been through some of that pain and drama to support other people who are going through pain, and drama, who've been through pain and drama, and be willing to say that I've got a hand for you. I can show you that there's evidence of the ability to alchemize your pain, to take that stuff, to sit with it, to experience it, to see what it's there to teach you. And then if you're not interested in holding on to it anymore, not interested in holding on to that pain or that trauma or whatever anymore, you let it go. But if you are, that's okay too. We can sit in that as well. But I have learned where I can continue to be nourished while I'm putting a hand back and reaching back for other folks that are looking for that relief, just a little bit of relief. How can I just see one step further on the spectrum of processing the trauma that I've been through and processing the pain that I'm living through, and understanding that my empathic nature, my sensitivities, whether it was something I was born with that makes me, kind of ahead of the pack in terms of that stuff, or whether it came because I went through some sort of traumatic event while I was alive in this lifetime or in the last lifetime, or with my grandmother or with my great-grandmother, whatever it is. There's all these like pain bodies in our being, and we have this ability to turn them into our absolute greatest desires. And I've got plenty of evidence. I've got a lifetime of it. And so I've been enjoying taking this opportunity over this past week to really, really think about what is it that I, in this really, really important moment in our lifetimes, in the human being's lifetime, what is it that I'm sharing when this idea, this concept of alchemize your pain comes up in a collective conscious conversation that I'm not even communicating with somebody over there that is saying the exact same words. We're all saying the exact same words, and we're all talking about the exact same types of things. If we're to that point and we're ready to move to that stage, we're ready to start letting it go. We're ready to stop being a victim and start turning our sensitivities into our superpower and recognizing how much power we actually have. So that's all I have for today. It's been a long, wet week. It's been a long, wet July. Does that sound right at all? It's because it's really only July 10th. It's been an interesting summer already, and I don't expect any less than that at this point in the world and where we are. And it makes perfect sense to me that we're having as much rain as we're having right now. And I'm learning to alchemize the pain of flooding. So, all right, I love you guys. I hope you have the absolute best Saturday evening. You will catch me live tomorrow morning on my Aislynn Campbell business page. That's where I do my garden talks every Sunday. And this week we're going to be out at the farm again because we're moving that direction. We're almost there. And I am actually going to be harvesting some of the wine grapes so that we can put them away to make the wine for next year. So if you're interested in checking out the live that I do, the garden lives that I do on Sunday morning, go over to the Aislynn Campbell business page. I do those every Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. And thank you for joining me live. Love you guys. This will be recorded and put up on YouTube as well. So if you're hearing this on my YouTube account, please like, subscribe, comment. I'll see you next week. Love you guys. Have a great day. Bye.